All right, get ready, because today we're taking a deep dive into something we all use every single day.
Oh, yeah.
Resources.
Resources, that's right.
And no, we're not talking about digging for gold or striking oil.
Yep.
We're going way back to basics to understand the very things that make our world tick.
Like the foundation of it all.
Exactly. So have you ever stopped to think about, like, what makes something a resource? I mean, I know I need stuff.
You need things to survive.
Yeah, but like, what makes it a resource?
Well, let's picture this, okay? You're a kid again, and you're helping your mom clean the house.
I can already see the dust bunnies.
Right, there are clothes everywhere, books piled up, maybe even that old honey jar you're convinced has magical powers.
Oh, I had one of those.
And suddenly you look around at all this stuff and you think, what makes these things valuable? What turns this stuff into resources?
Okay, so is it just about something being useful? Like, if I need a spoonful of honey for my tea, that makes the jar a resource.
You're getting closer. The key idea is utility. It's all about whether something can actually satisfy a need. So yeah, that honey becomes a resource when it soothes your throat or sweetens your tea.
So anything that's useful is a resource. Sounds pretty simple, right?
It does, but things get interesting when we consider the different types of value something can have.
Okay, like how valuable is it?
Well, yeah, like we often think about value in terms of money,
Dollars and cents?
Exactly, the economic side of things. But there's also a non-economic value, which is just as important when it comes to our needs.
Okay, I think I get it. So like a beautiful sunset over the ocean that might not have a price tag, but it's still super valuable for our well-being.
You got it. We need both economic and non-economic things to truly satisfy all the different needs we have as humans. And here's where things get even more fascinating.
More fascinating. Lay it on me.
Value isn't stuck in time. It can actually change depending on the context.
Hold on, you mean something worthless today could become a valuable resource tomorrow?
Absolutely. Imagine your grandma's secret recipe for, let's say, a calming herbal tea.
My grandma's cooking was legendary.
Right now, it's probably a family treasure.
Passed down for generations.
Exactly. But what if a big pharmaceutical company discovers it has amazing medicinal properties? They could patent it, market it worldwide, and boom, it becomes a highly valuable resource.
That's wild. So something's value can totally change based on how we see it and use it.
Exactly. It's not just about the thing itself. It's about how it fits into our needs and circumstances, which brings up another crucial factor: time and technology.
Like those things impact resources too.
Absolutely. Think about something as basic as fire. For early humans, figuring out how to control fire was a total game changer. Suddenly they had warmth, light, protection from animals, and they could even cook food.
So fire went from being this natural thing to a super valuable resource.
All because humans learned how to use it.
I see. So it's about more than just the raw materials themselves. It's about human ingenuity, right? And technology.
You nailed it. And you know what? This actually leads us to the most important resource of all: people.
People.
Wait, like us? Exactly. Our creativity, knowledge, and ability to invent new things, those are the real driving forces behind turning raw materials into all the things we need and use every day.
Wow, this is making me see everything in a totally new light. So to recap, a resource is anything that has utility.
Meaning it can meet a need.
Right. And its value can be economic or non-economic.
And then that value can change over time.
Plus, we need human ingenuity and technology to transform things into resources in the first place.
Did I get it?
You got it.
Now, are you ready to dive deeper into the different types of resources and explore how they shape our world? But first, what are some initial thoughts or questions popping into your head?
Honestly, I'm looking around my room right now and seeing everything differently.
How so?
My coffee cup, my phone, even the thoughts in my head, it all feels like resources now. And I'm really curious to learn more about how all these different types of resources connect and impact our lives.
That's a fantastic observation, and it's the perfect lead-in to our next discussion. Ready to go deeper. All right, let's break down these different types of resources. We'll start with something we all know: natural resources.
Yeah, those are the ones straight from Mother Nature, right?
Exactly. Think forests, rivers, fertile soil, all that good stuff.
The stuff we can't live without.
Right. Even things like fossil fuels, sunlight, wind, those are all natural resources.
So those are the basis for pretty much everything else, I'm guessing.
They're essential building blocks for, well, pretty much everything humans do.
But I know we can't just keep taking and taking, right? I mean, we hear a lot these days about using natural resources responsibly.
You're absolutely right. It's a huge topic. And that's why we break natural resources down even further into renewable and non-renewable.
Okay, so renewable resources are the ones that can like replenish themselves.
Exactly. Think solar energy, wind power, even timber from well-managed forests. They naturally regenerate over a relatively short time.
So we can use them without totally depleting them because they grow back.
Ideally, yes. But there's a catch. Even renewable resources can be overused.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Like, take water, for example. It's constantly being renewed through the water cycle.
Rain, rivers, oceans, the whole thing.
Yep. But in a lot of places, we're using water faster than it can replenish itself, and that leads to water scarcity and all sorts of problems for the environment.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about it that way. So even with renewable resources, we still have to be careful.
We do. Now, let's talk about those non-renewable resources. These guys are finite, meaning there's a limited supply.
Okay, so like fossil fuels.
Exactly. Coal, oil, natural gas, they take millions of years to form, and they don't just grow back.
I know those are the ones that are a big deal in discussions about climate change, right?
Right. Once we burn them, they're gone. And extracting and using them can have a huge environmental impact.
So we have to be super careful with those, try to use them wisely, and find alternatives.
Exactly. We can't just keep using them like there's an endless supply. It's a global challenge, that's for sure.
Okay, so that's natural resources covered. But what about the stuff we make? Where do those fit in?
Well, those are called human-made resources. Sometimes we call them capital
It's
resources.
human-made, so like everything we build and create.
Pretty much. Think buildings, bridges, cars, computers, you name it. We take natural resources and use our technology to create them.
So it's like we're taking nature's gifts and turning them into something new and useful.
Exactly. Like, imagine a simple chair.
All right, picture a chair.
We start with wood from a tree, right? That's our natural resource.
Okay, got the wood.
Then we use human skill and tools to shape that wood into a chair. That chair is a human-made resource, and it gives us a place to sit.
So it adds value to that original natural resource by
Yeah.
making it into something specific we need.
Exactly. And this applies to so many things. Look at how communication technology has evolved over time. From simple smoke signals to telegraphs, telephones, radios, televisions, and now the internet and smartphones.
Wow, that's quite the journey.
Each new invention uses natural resources plus human creativity to make more and more complex and useful things.
It's mind-blowing to think about how much we've created, but it also makes me wonder, are we relying too much on all this human-made stuff? Are we losing touch with the natural world behind it all?
That's a really interesting question, and it brings us to another crucial part of the resource puzzle, the human element. We call them human resources.
Human resources, is that like something companies have? A department?
Well, yeah, it's used that way too. But in this context, we're talking about the skills, knowledge, creativity, and abilities that people have.
So it's about the human side of things.
Exactly. It's the human capital that makes all the innovation and problem-solving possible.
Without people, we wouldn't have all the inventions and stuff, right?
Exactly. I mean, think about it. Without human ingenuity, natural resources would just be sitting there.
Just a bunch of raw materials.
Yep. And without human skills and labor, none of the human-made things we rely on would exist.
Wow, so it really is about us, about our potential. We are the resource.
We are. And that means investing in things like education, healthcare, and skill development is super important.
Not just for individual people, but for everyone.
Exactly. It's how we nurture the most valuable resource we have.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these resource types are connected. Natural resources give us the foundation.
Right, the building blocks.
Then human ingenuity, along with technology, turns them into all these useful human-made things.
And the skills and knowledge of people drive the whole process.
Did I get it right?
You got it perfectly. And understanding how it all fits together is key to managing resources sustainably and creating a good future for everyone.
What stands out to you the most about how it all connects?
I think it's a reminder that resources aren't just things out there. It's about how nature, human ingenuity, and our actions all interact.
We have a responsibility to use these resources wisely, right? To make sure there's enough for everyone now and in the future.
That's a great way to put it. And that leads us perfectly to our next topic, resource conservation. But before we jump in, are there any other thoughts or questions popping up for you?
So we've talked a lot about the different types of resources and how they all fit together. It's clear that we need to be smart about how we use them, especially when it comes to things like fossil fuels that have a big impact on the planet. How do we create a more sustainable future?
That's the big question, right? And there isn't one simple answer, but there's a lot we can do both as individuals and as a society.
So what are some practical steps we can take? I'm ready to get involved.
It all starts with awareness, really. The more we understand about where things come from, how they're made, what their impact is, the better decisions we can make.
So being more conscious consumers, not just grabbing the first thing we see, but thinking about the story behind it.
Exactly. Take your morning coffee, for example. Where were the beans grown? Was it done sustainably? What about the packaging? These little questions can actually lead you to make more informed choices.
Like becoming a resource detective.
That's a great way to put it. And one of the most impactful things we can do is reduce how much we consume in the first place. It's not about going without, it's more about being mindful of what we really need versus what we just want.
Okay, need versus want. Got it.
Do you really need the latest gadget, or will the one you have do for now? Can you walk or bike instead of driving sometimes? Small changes can make a big difference.
Especially if everyone starts doing them.
Exactly. And speaking of small changes, let's not forget about recycling and reusing things.
I'm pretty good at putting stuff in the recycling bin, but I could definitely be better at reusing things.
It can be fun. Turn those old jars into storage containers, use fabric scraps for cleaning cloths. There are tons of creative ideas out there.
Turning trash into treasure. I love that.
Yeah.
So those are things we can do individually. What about on a bigger scale? How can we work together to promote resource conservation?
Get involved. Support organizations that are working on sustainable solutions. Advocate for responsible policies. Join community initiatives. There's power in numbers.
It's about raising awareness and inspiring others to act too.
Exactly. And let's not forget about education, talking to our friends and family about these things, sharing what we've learned. The more people understand the issues, the better chance we have of making real change.
It's like planting seeds, right? Spreading the knowledge.
That's a beautiful way to think about it. And of course, we can't forget about innovation. Technology is a powerful tool for developing sustainable solutions.
Yeah, it's exciting to see new eco-friendly technologies popping up all the time.
Exactly. It's all about creating a future where progress and environmental well-being go hand in hand.
This whole deep dive has been really eye-opening. I'm realizing that resource conservation isn't just about a few good deeds here and there. It's about changing how we think, making conscious choices, and working together to create a better future for everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's about understanding that the resources we rely on are precious and that we all have a part to play in protecting them.
This conversation has definitely given me a lot to think about, and I'm feeling inspired to take action. It's empowering to know that we all have a role to play in creating a more sustainable future.
That's what it's all about, empowering people to become stewards of our planet.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of exploration and discovery. Remember, even small actions, when multiplied by millions, can create a huge wave of change. Let's make that change happen.